I want to talk about white supremacy because I was scrolling through Instagram. I get one of those Charlie Kirk reels where he goes to college campuses and sets up a tent and he says, "Debate me." And this kid comes up and calls him a white supremacist. And Charlie Kirk obviously gets all defensive and he's like, "How dare you? Shame on you for saying that. I do these good things." And he has all these arguments. The one I want to focus on is he's like, "I co-founded an organization called Blexit, which seeks to improve living conditions for Black kids in cities all throughout the country." I hadn't heard of that when I was watching this video. So I went and I looked it up and I went to the website. So Blexit stands for Black Exit from Victimhood. There's a quote on there from Candace Owens that says something along the lines of, "If you view yourself as the victim, you become your own oppressor." And immediately I knew, I've heard them talk about this before. Basically, systemic racism doesn't exist. It's because you view yourself as the victim that you perceive these things. It's because of the way you think that you perceive this. The system is fine the way it is. We don't need to change it. See the thing I have on change. And it's insulting because it teaches these kids, don't look at the system. Don't challenge the system. Don't critically think about the system and ask for evidence that backs up your claims, right? It's all in your head. It's your fault for having a victim mentality that makes you think that there's systemic racism, that the world is out to get you. It's your fault that Black people were enslaved for hundreds of years in America. And then when they were freed, they were told that their votes count as 3/5 that of a white person. And it's your fault that you're more likely to live in a state that's been targeted by gerrymandering by Republicans, such that you can get all the Black people you know to vote as blue as you want, but you are not going to get the candidate you want because the districts are literally rigged against your opinion. It's your fault that Black votes are more likely to be not counted or rejected. It's your fault that there were Jim Crow laws put in place when they segregated white neighborhoods and Black neighborhoods, and the banks systemically redlined and denied mortgages to Black neighborhoods because they were seen as high-risk investments. It's your fault that you're less likely to get a callback for a job when you have equal qualifications as someone else who has a whiter-sounding name, which is a study that Harvard has performed twice in the last 30 years. They sent out hundreds of resumes with equal qualifications for these jobs with whiter or Blacker sounding names, and the whiter sounding names were much more likely to get a callback for an interview. It's your fault that you're more likely to be born into poverty. It's your fault that you're more likely to live in a neighborhood that is more heavily policed than neighborhoods that have less Black people in them. It's your fault that you're more likely to be stopped by a police officer when you're doing nothing wrong, that you're more likely to be arrested for a crime you didn't commit. Black people make up 55% of all murder exonerations, meaning 55% of the people who are arrested and then it's found they didn't do that crime are Black. And it's your fault that you're more likely to be killed by a police officer. It's your fault that you're less likely to have a parent or grandparent or who worked at a company or attended certain universities because they didn't allow Black people in until a certain point. It's your fault that Black folks are disproportionately affected by climate change. It's your fault that you were systemically set back. And there's evidence of this in the Tulsa massacre when Black people were financially successful and wealthy and white people massacred them because of it. It's your victim complex that makes you feel like Black people are behind white people. It's none of that stuff. See, we don't need DEI because that's a tool that's used to overcome systemic disadvantages that we set up organizations like Blexit to teach people don't exist, and that it's all in your head, and that we don't need DEI because you just made it up because of your victim mentality. All of this is evidence-backed. We have evidence to support all of this and statistics to support all of this, right? There's a reason you can teach a course in academia called AP African American History. There's a reason you can teach in academia critical race theory because they all have evidence to support them. There's a reason we don't teach that climate change is a hoax in academia because there isn't evidence to support that notion. Blexit, while he posed it as something that's going to improve conditions for Black people across America, it is a great way to make Black people complacent with a system that is rigged against them. It is, outside of like the KKK itself, one of the biggest tools for upholding white supremacy I have ever seen. And I want to make something clear. If providing opportunity and advantages to people who are not cis straight white men comes at the cost of my own, comes at the cost of cis straight white men's opportunity and advantages, then that is a cost worth paying, because I didn't do anything to deserve the advantages I've been given because of those things. And other people don't have the same opportunities that I have, and that's not fair. And they didn't do anything to deserve the cards they've been dealt and have the disadvantages that they have.